Hey, welcome. We're the Young Jerks. It's Mike Crawford. We are live right now on the air. I'm getting some echo and feedback. Is someone watch one of our guests watching right now? Cool. All right, I think it's better now. I just wanted to go live as soon as possible tonight. It's Super Bowl Sunday. No intro video like usual. Guests are here. We're ready to go. We wanted to talk about Maine cannabis, Maine medical cannabis, something that I love. I talk about it a lot on the show, but we really haven't had guests that are experts on Maine cannabis, except for the couple. We have had a couple on the show in the past. We were trying to get them on tonight. Maybe they may call in. But we have maybe had one feature with them, and they were awesome. And we said we want to bring them back and do more on Maine medical cannabis because I think it's what we want to see nationwide. We are a lot of us on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook, and we see the same fights in different states, whether it's New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Florida, Massachusetts, Connecticut, you name the state, it's the same issue. It's a lack of diversity. It's big cannabis. Nobody else gets to open, and if they do, it costs them so much money that they become big cannabis because there's no other way in the end, except for places like Maine. Maine has done it right. I am so happy about Maine as a medical patient, as a consumer, as someone who goes up there. And I'm happy about the guests that we have on the show tonight. I want to bring up first and foremost, we hear some smoking. Derek's smoking on the show, which is something that we used to do back in the day, but not so much, in today's day and age. But we're bringing it back. I guess we're going back to Maine.
Yep.
Uh,
Oh, my bad. I'm always smoking. Usually, definitely during a show.
So now that because I was gonna bring my caregiver in, but before we do that, Derek is already broke the ice with he's the guy smoking the bong, it looks like. Tell us about yourself, who you are, Derek.
My name is Derek Shirley, known as Getting High with Cats. Um, I sat on the Maine Cannabis Coalition little under 3 or 4 years, where we wrote laws and passed laws through the VLA and Senate with help with other cannabis groups to preserve the medical program. I also am recently registered lobbyist in the Maine State House for that exact reason, to protect and preserve Maine's medical program. No disrespect to the other groups. I think they're all doing a fantastic job. But a part of me feels that medical should be the most focused on preserving than developing adult use per se. I think what you said it before. I think Maine should be like the majority of the country, where 70% of our small farmers or our medical businesses are small mom and pop shops still, and small businesses. And small businesses is usually defined by 49 employees or less. So we're really talking about micro businesses here. We're not even talking about, we are talking about small businesses, but we're really talking about micro businesses that we're trying to preserve. So for me, it's, and most importantly, I'm a cannabis felon for 4 ounces of cannabis. So for me personally, that's my kind of my engine per se. After getting that felony for cannabis, you kind of told myself, if I ever had an opportunity to fight and fight the good fight for the plan, I'd give it hell. You know what I mean? So that's what you kind of see me doing up in Maine, understanding, coming from Pennsylvania, trusting the traditional market, then going out to Flagstaff, Arizona for a few years, relying on the dispos, and then coming to Maine and realizing how special it is, and how you can buy direct from farmer, and how you have so many options. Um, I think I think Maine is one of the greatest cannabis states, if not for product, just for the openness and low barrier and access.
By far on the East Coast. It's not even a question on the East Coast, in my opinion, and maybe in the nation at this point. I mean, it's really compelling. I know other states like California are always going to say they're number one, but Maine is something very interesting happening. Derek, I want to do a follow up on that. Were you a state or federal felon?
It was a state felony. I was I was caught with 4 ounces in my possession within the state of Pennsylvania, where I'm from. That's an intent to deliver an illegal substance, anything over 28 grams. So actually, when I moved here to Maine, I originally was denied my caregiver's card because of that. So I actually, with another group and some other organizations, passed LD 1957, which changed the word marijuana to cannabis. But also in that bill, the wait time for someone like me dropped from a 10-year wait to join the program to a 5-year wait. We wanted 0, but with politics, you know how it is. You kind of
Yeah.
have to give and take.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. And I'm really happy and honored too to have first-time guests on the show. You guys are both first-time guests, which is exciting for me. And we're covering some topics tonight that we usually haven't covered as much as I would like to. And it's weird because I rely on Maine so much. And I know a lot of folks that I know do as well. And it's like one of my number one recommendations to patients in Massachusetts and elsewhere is to check out Maine. And usually I tell them to go to this guy right here. I'm really honored to have him. He's been my number one guy. Like, he is my caregiver. This is what I want in Massachusetts. I wish he could serve me. I wish he could stay where he is and have it delivered to me legally in my state, but there's still a federal issue. So there's a lot of to play there, but I'm very honored to have you here tonight.
Thank you, Mike.
Grove Cannabis. Dalton, tell us your story, who you are, and about medical cannabis in Maine and what you're able to do there that you probably wouldn't have an opportunity to do in Massachusetts. And there are a lot of guys who have spent millions of dollars trying to open in Massachusetts who have given up.
Yeah.
They never got to open, and they spent $1 million along the way, and they have the debts following them, and they never get to open. So tell us your story and what's going on. I'm very happy to have you. Thank you, Dalton, for being here.
Thank you, Mike. My name is Dalton Dowerful. I'm the owner of Grove Cannabis Co., which is a medical marijuana delivery service based out of South Berwick, Maine. We started Grove Cannabis Co. April 1st, 2021. So we've been open for just about 2 years now. Has been definitely quite the journey. Definitely owe a lot of stuff to Weed Maps. That's a big marketing company that we use to kind of get our name out there. But yeah, I'm from Kittery, Maine, reside in South Berwick. And what else did you want me to touch on, Mike?
How did you decide to do this? How did it happen? How long did it take to get open?
Yeah. So, I just really, I've been involved with weed since I was 14 years old, and I really wanted to just get into the actual legal industry. So I went and got my caregiver's license a couple of years ago, and then started this venture. I got a lot of product from Holistic Wellness Company. It was more of just kind of a buying and selling in the beginning. So I'd buy other people's products and strictly only sell other people's products for the most part, which got me a lot of different deals. And just I wanted to provide something that was good enough for everybody, like kind of like different tiers. So I try to have like $80 ounces all the way up to ounces, Braid Boat Gardens, Mentation, some of the companies that I work with for $225 an ounce. So we definitely try to have competitive pricing for quality product, clean product that I source. And that's how it all really started.
The price and the quality and the selection that you guys offer. I'm like, I know that anything I order on there is like, I'm going to be happy with, like, every time. Sure. Like, if it's $80, I'll be happy. I know what it is. It's like, it's amazing what you offer. Why do you think everyone else isn't offering comparable like it in the Kittery area? Like, a lot of them have similar, menu, but it's just not the same as what you're offering. Why do you think you're able to offer a little better than them?
A lot of people are growing their own stuff and they don't source out other product. We're starting to do that. So we're going to be carrying a lot of our own product, but just with there's so much product in the state of Maine right now that it gives us an option to seek out other caregivers and companies to get those competitive pricings. And I could charge a lot more for the quality of the product, but I try to give back to the patients, to have pricing that, that's competitive and works with their budget, which is why we have a lot of good stuff, but we have a lot of stuff that's cheaper quality that's still, really good for the consumer, and it's going to be bad for them. It's all checked. So definitely we try to have that like cheaper option just with each tier from 80 to 99 to 120, 130, 150, all the way up to the 225 price point. So definitely try to keep those competitive deals going and maybe make a little less, but we're delivering to a lot more people by doing that. So spreading our name around and giving people the quality product that they should be getting in the beginning for, a reasonable price.
Now, Dalton, when you started to like the first patient that you served, when was that? Like legally in Maine?
April 1st, 2021 was the day that we opened.
Okay. So that was April 2021?
Yeah, 2021. Yeah.
And when did you like file paperwork to open? Like as a license?
I started that first thing I did was I got an attorney, and he kind of walked me through the steps of just what I need to do to make this a fully compliant cannabis business in the state of Maine. So I went through Zarilla Law Firm and started out. I got a bookkeeper, I got an accountant just to kind of figure out, the taxes with medical marijuana cannabis, which is 5.5% on all just regular products, and then 8% on all edibles. So I then got a bookkeeper, and my bookkeeper helped me out a lot with just like different POS systems and kind of like how to like really start this business, I would say. But with licensing, I got my caregiver's license. I then got a food and agriculture license, a tobacco license, and then another license just with the town, because all towns are different than the statewide. Each town's different for like what you need to have. So in the town of South Berwick, I registered with them, and that was pretty much everything I need was those 4 things to start this business, along with a resale certificate, just for like buying and selling products and stuff like that.
So I want people that understand in Maine, there is regulation. Is a process. There's all this that you still have to do, but it did take you 3 to 5 years, right?
No. Yeah. I got all that stuff prior. I went through a wholesale company to really obtain all the product that I needed, which is Holistic Wellness Company. I went through them to get all different edibles and just products like that in the beginning to kind of get my foot in the door to actually buying product through like a wholesale company or just like other companies, and like learning how that works, stuff like that. So they really helped me out in the beginning, and still to this day, with just sourcing different products that work for everybody at like a cheaper price. So I can, still obviously run my business, but put out a product and price that's going to be good for the consumer and they're happy with, and keep people coming back, really.
Awesome. So how long do you think that took, that process between like
I'd say about 6 months before I started the business? I got all the product a couple weeks before, and just kind of back and forth with my attorney, just like, what do I need? And then he's busy doing other things as well. So it took a little bit of time to set up just like an operating agreement and just like other things that you would start a small business with. So, but now that I do know that, even with just starting a medical marijuana business, like I could use that for other ventures and future down the line. So it's pretty much just like starting a small business, I would say, is just like it would be with the cannabis, just a little bit more laws and regulations.
Now, adult use in Maine is not the same, though, right? It's
no, definitely not. That's where like the bigger money comes in, I would say, because you have to have different locations and stuff like that. So that's like really where there's a lot more startup costs and licensing to do that.
And that's where it goes wrong in Maine. I mean, I'm pushing now that I think as like as a cannabis consumers, patients, as growers and small business people, and even the folks that talk about social equity, that's the big buzzword. But I think that they have to look at the Maine medical model.
Yeah.
And as being like the model for everything, for adult use too. Yeah. Like we should make adult use that way. Like the small growers should be able to supply everyone in the market. Like,
Yeah. Or look at like other states that are doing it well, like California, Colorado, other places. Like business can run medical and recreational under the same business. Like it doesn't have to be separate in California. I hope they do that. I mean, even trends, you know, in California, they say like it goes East Coast like every 3 to 5 years. So something that's happening out there is going to make its way to the East Coast eventually. So I mean, hopefully that caregivers would be able to kind of put their foot in the door with the recreational market a little bit more, and still run like a medical service as well. You know, just have it be a little bit separate.
I would love
be nice
to see
in my
it.
opinion.
Yeah, and
You
Massachusetts.
guys, but do you guys understand what the issues is with the adult use and the regulation process? Do you understand why it's an issue? It's because Maine paid Andrew Friedman and Kiosk of Metric $189,000 to write the adult use rules in Maine. Now, fast forward a couple years here, whatever, 2023, Andrew Friedman is now like the head of what's called the C-Pair coalition, which is what you see who is fighting down in
Tobacco.
DC.
Big tobacco.
Yep, big
Crazy how it works like
tobacco
that.
and big alcohol and Coors beverage. So it's I personally have talked to a number of actually adult use small growers, and they say they simply can't survive because of the structure of how the rules are. So actually right now in our state house there's 656 bills introduced and there's 10 cannabis bills. Some of them you're going to see a loosening of, or a try to of loosening of regulations of adult use, because these small farmers and adult use are simply saying they cannot survive.
That's what we need.
It is not profitable.
Absolutely.
But now with the flip coin of that, now here's one thing we have to remember and respect. Medical in Maine has been around since 1999. They've decriminalized cannabis in Portland in 1969. So cannabis has been a huge part in Maine's culture. And to be clear, like I am not from Maine. That's why if you ever hear me speak, I always say living in Maine, because I'm originally from Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah.
So I'm living in Maine. I've been here for about 5 or 6 years now. So, but still, I'm not from Maine.
I get it. I get it. I grew up in a small town and I was never from that town. You know what I mean? Like, even though I moved there when I was 5, you might, I don't even think I would have been from that town if I had moved in. Like, if the first day I was born, I was like, you got to have a grandfather that was born here. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Like,
or I was told I have to survive X amount of winters. A certain number of winters, that's when I can dub it. But go back to like kind of your question of why Maine medical the best. And some people will say it's the Wild West up here because we don't have testing, we don't have forced testing on our medical, or nor do we have a track and trace. But that's exactly the same reasons why the small businesses can survive. And one reason why it's labeled the best is because we have so many freaking options. I always say to someone, like, if you go to your, and I'm not like talking bad on anyone, but this is just the fact of the matter. If you go to your grocery store and you're buying, let's say, strawberries, and you look at the strawberries, there's no labels to tell you on if that there's anything. You don't know if there's pesticides or any sort of thing. Shit, there can even be mold in those strawberries. But guess what? You're going to buy those strawberries anyway. And what happens when you buy too many moldy strawberries? You end up switching stores, switching brands, or something else like that. And that's how I kind of explain it to people that don't understand cannabis. It's kind of like, it's better to have a bunch of small little farms that you can have massive control over than a select number or a limited number, whatever number of giant farms. I don't care who you are. I mean, cannabis, we just simply, the average person, the average company simply doesn't have the knowledge to be able to run these giant ass facilities. It just doesn't make sense. And that's why you see smaller guys, especially in Maine, running those 20 lighters, dumping out 20 to 40 pounds every month, they're the ones surviving because they're usually selling out or doing pretty solid. I'm not saying they're crushing it, but they're not the ones with the massive overheads that are getting drowned in their own debt. And that's what you see at Curaleaf. That's why Curaleaf had to leave. That's why you see the big collapse of canopy growth in Canada. I mean, it's because these overheads are gonna kill these companies. And it's only worse and worse. But go ahead.
Dalton, do you have any comments on any of that?
I mean, I definitely do think that there's a lot of companies that will go out in, you know, the next couple of years. There's just so much product in Maine, you know, there's only so much weed people can smoke. So, but I definitely think people with good customer service and a good product are always going to, you know, be on top, and they're always going to be in the game for sure. So
I will say one thing is about Maine too, even if you have the shittiest weed, like I don't want to say if you even your shittiest weed here is usually good because it's fresh.
yeah,
The freshness is best, even if it's like not good, even into my like standards. Like if I always think, would I smoke this if I lived in like Pennsylvania? You know, back in the day when like I was buying, like where does that travel? And really, I almost did a post about this the other day. The secret of knowing good weed is smoking a shit ton of bad weed.
yeah.
Like that's the only way you've learned up the scale, in my opinion, of what like decent weed is, because you smoked so much garbage in your life. You know, more times than not. I admit I smoked a shit ton of garbage. You're lying if you don't. If you didn't, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh my God,
you were
yeah.
always on that journey of trying to find that. Definitely in Pennsylvania, it was like a fun scavenger hunt, bro. You found one plug, you're like, all right, dude's good price, but you know, I can get quality better for like, you know, a point more or two. You know what I mean? It just became this like chase. And then when I came to Maine, I'm like, oh wait, I can just run into all these like people that have like 20 lighters and they all grow like decent fire. Like, wow. The only thing I will say, you know, we're talking so positively. One thing I will say negative, I don't want to say negative. Negative is a bad word. One thing I wish I didn't see a lot is I feel like a lot of people do get in the same strain ruts. I feel like we see a lot of the same strains. Like, and I wish, since there are so many micro grows, that you saw a little bit, tiny more variety. But there is so much out there. Like the gentleman was saying, that there's an ass for every seat. If you're a salesman, there's an ass for every seat in this business. Unfortunately, even if you hate $80 ounces as a point, but you know, every ass has their seat, because everyone has this cannabis journey of finding, oh wow, this $80 weed might last me, you know, a week, but if I buy this better, like this more expensive weed, like that meditation GMO, that shit might last me a much longer time, even though it's a little bit more, because that shit rocks my socks off. So it's like having that customer experience within your company, I think, is very important, because you don't want them to like, you don't want to just shoot trap and like, not shoot trap, but shoot crap out all the time, because you're only going to attract crap customers.
Crap customers for sure. But that's why we try to have that like 99, and then like the 120, which I think is like our best, you know, kind of range for quality.
And think about this, because you said your top tier was.
I'm glad you said that, Dalton, because I you know me, I go often into you, and I always get like a 120, 130. I have to. Like, I'll still get an 80 sometimes, or 100, but those with you, like I've tried other places where you get like an 80 or 100, especially in Mass.
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's terrible. Like
and not everyone has like 15 different strains.
Yeah, I've never been upset with anything I've ever gotten from you. Everything is like so, like, it's true. Maine is so much fresher, so much better. And I love that you said that the 120 is the kind of,
that's like my favorite, because it's kind of like, you know, you're still getting a product that we could sell for like 160, 170, but we're just, you know, try to put it in that range just for people that like don't
like
have
me,
money, really, you know. Just like
it's
that,
searching, like I want something good, but
but still get a good product at the same time.
Just think about it, and think about it again, going back to the freshness. Just think about any product you're buying. The closest you can get to the source, the less hands it touches, physical hands it touches, the better. So it's like, even if you buying from one or two middlemen in Maine, that's way better than buying from the eighth middleman down in New York
Oh,
City or
bang. Thank you for bringing that up too, Derek.
something.
Because
Like,
this is what I don't have in Mass. I think, I know a lot of folks that listen to us are in Massachusetts. So I want to drive these points home even more because I can't, if I go to anywhere in Massachusetts, I'm not going to buy it from the grower. It's not possible. Like illegally, if I go to a store or a delivery service, it's not from the grower. I know, Dalton.
Yep.
Like you can't get that in Massachusetts. That's what we need in Massachusetts, where you actually know who's growing your product.
Yeah, for sure.
Like a lot of the product that you sell, like I want to ask you about this, the 80s, the 100 and 130s, because a lot of your product, like you said, you have like Hazy Farm, all the other like brands that aren't your that are not your own that you're reselling. But the other ones, those are grown by you, right? Like the 80s and the
some of them. For the most part, those are like all outsourced from different growers in like the Portland area that just have massive facilities that they can't like kind of keep up with the market, and that they'll do like a little bit better of a deal on just because like they've had it for like a little bit longer. Like they're more comfortable on just giving it to me for a little bit lower of a price just so I can get rid of it for them.
Now do you grow? I know you do grow some, right? Though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just because that's what they always wonder about your menu, because sometimes I know like a lot of it is listed who grows it, but not all
for
of
sure.
it.
Yeah, we try to put that on there. But we also do have like over 100 strains on the menu.
No, I know. I'm amazed that you can provide as much information on weed maps and keep up to date, like with a small business like you do. It's amazing.
It's almost like a full-time job just doing that, like with the menu, resetting it because it's a live menu and there is so many products. So once a week, I find myself kind of resetting the menu just to get it to where I need it to be, for the consumer to figure out what medicine that they want, and just keep it up to date.
It's funny because I feel like there's a Grove Cannabis stamp. Like I know that I don't feel like that about any other place, like where I get my cannabis.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like you said you would have your plug, Derek, right? And certain plugs I would, like not legal ones, you know what I mean? I would trust. But even those, like people change. All of a sudden they can't get what they used to get. You know what I mean? Or their life change. I got in a car accident. Who knows? But Grove Cannabis is just, I know it's like got that Grove stamp and I can go and get it. It's like, it's a godsend. Like I wish that everybody that is out there that like wants medical cannabis had a Grove Cannabis to go to, like, and it just doesn't exist in most of the industry. And I just want to thank you so much for being there, Dalton.
Yeah. And I thank you, Mike, for having me here.
What would your advice be to folks out there that might want to get involved in the cannabis industry right now, whether it's in Maine or Massachusetts or anywhere else, Dalton?
I would say to just stay ahead of like things that are changing, and like kind of figure out what people want, and to keep it simple and to just stick with the, good customer service and, a good, great product and, just not letting people kind of wait around for the product and get it there as fast as possible or, whatever you're doing. And the only thing else I can recommend is get an attorney, to walk you through, to, guide you in the right direction. Cause there's definitely a lot of people not doing it in the right direction. So, get an attorney to kind of walk you through and figure out how to, make your plan on how you want to do it and to stay in it and just keep at it every day.
We had a couple comments that came through. Andrea just wrote, Grove is the best. And I 100% agree with that. And I've had the menu up and down, you know what I mean? I'm a flower guy. Dalton knows that. And
sure.
I just love it. Like when you got good flower, everything's going to be good. So Grove is the best is a comment that came in. And Melissa wrote, legalize cannabis in the US. Yeah, I think we need to, and let the small businesses open, especially local. Like, why are we letting these big conglomerates from Florida come in the East Coast and take over up here? And the Russian guy, I mean, come on. This is like not good businesses trying to take over when we can have
Honestly,
Grove Cannabis everywhere. Go ahead, Derek.
no, all I was going to say was, and frankly, they're just like we said before, they're just not sustainable. These large businesses. I
Exactly.
mean, they're just not. They're not. And the other thing is too, we have to get around is we have to get, and this is a stigma thing. We have to get out of the ideology of just buying weed from a store or a car. We have to be diversifying the business models. Like I always joke and say, like libraries, restaurants, gyms, relaxing centers, educational centers. We have to get outside of just this box because I live in small town Gray. Obviously, I'm very pro cannabis as much as they come. But I don't think a cannabis store in every corner in my small town is what I would like to see. But like I'm also not anti-cannabis. I think people should be able to just sell their cannabis anywhere they want.
Yeah.
But so so there's a fine line of and I think that's the key to is diversifying the business models of cannabis, not just getting out of the box of the brick and mortar.
I love you said that, Derek, because like you said, the big cannabis right now, Curaleaf, they borrowed not Curaleaf, True Leaf, they borrowed $1 billion. Their market cap is basically like $1 billion. You know what I mean? Like, these companies are not sustainable. And now what they're doing is they're cutting jobs. So all of these folks are getting laid off.
And massive grows aren't going to get attended to.
And the legislate and people are the ones who are left behind are in bad working conditions. They're worried about their jobs. They're getting fired. We've been covering about the working conditions at the big cannabis sites. And then, basically workers were coming on a show predicting someone was going to die. And then a 27-year-old woman did die. And that was like our biggest story of this last year that we really have covered. And I think legislators, politicians, that's their big question. You pushed through big cannabis. You said it was going to be safer, but it's turned out to be the unsafest. It's been what the consumer doesn't want, the patient doesn't want, the workers don't want it. And now the workers are being laid off. And it's such an easy solution to just let people get into the cannabis industry like Dalton has. 6 months, hard work, you're in business. You don't have to wait 3 to 5 years, invest millions of dollars, and then still at the end not know if they're going to let you open. Like, that's what Massachusetts been. That's what New Jersey and all these other states are turning into. And that's what Maine adult use is basically. It's like this big program that the small guy can't get in. So we have to completely open this up. It'll create more jobs. There will be less layoffs. It'll be safer. It will give the consumer what they want. I agree 100%. It's sustainable.
That though.
Go ahead.
Why Maine was able to hang on for 2 reasons. One, all the groups that put all the effort into the state house. It's a group effort. There's not one single person. That everyone has an important job up there in the state house. I mean, I'm a weird, goofy guy, so my job's a little different than most, but I know there's other people like Mark Barnett who grinds up there as well. Now, the other real reason is because of Paula Page. Paula Page didn't let the adult use ever develop in Maine, even though we've had medical for a very long time. Not because he was trying to protect our small businesses, because he was not really a fan of cannabis. So what he did was actually put Maine's medical cannabis in essentially a time capsule, a time bubble. So we were able to watch out west what happened to the adult use and how it kind of devoured actually most of the medical markets, actually completely destroyed them. Like Washington knew how, and I always talk to in-house genetics out in Seattle, and he was telling me how in Washington they had a kill switch. It switched over overnight. Everyone was just adult use. There wasn't even a chance to switch over. So I was told that, adult use should absolutely look like the death cloud to medical. I mean, look, there isn't too many if there is a medical program out west, they're already devoured by MSOs or people, like you said earlier in the show, where people made the decision to sell their business to them I don't want to call it selling out, because some people could call it make it too. You know what I mean? So it depends
Well,
how you want to
sometimes
look
it's
at
just
that.
survival, and you don't want to be in debt for the rest of your life.
No,
A lot of times.
exactly. No, 100% right.
And the thing is, in Massachusetts, that's basically what's been happening. Like Massachusetts, we still have a medical program, but it's not growing anymore. It used to grow every year, and there's no one new opening. There's no new retailers. There's no new, it's the same MSOs, and all the new guys who are opening, the smaller players in some respects too, are adult use. After like 3 to 5 years of waiting, they're finally let
But
let
you're always
those
going to
guys
save
open.
with medical. Like, you're going to pay less in taxes. So that's wild to me that Massachusetts isn't growing as a medical state, like with more cards.
I think it's because I think they all take the trip. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you still need a card to make that trip.
Think about.
That's true.
I was not. This is not Mass, but I was in New Hampshire on Thursday, and I was representing 19 patients for their HB 431, basically their right to home grow, New Hampshire. And basically, I found out their ounces at their dispensaries, their only place in New Hampshire they can legally buy, is $350. So of course, all these border,
Maine.
dude,
You're going to Maine.
Like, of course, and that's why I still think these patients should have the right to home grow. Just to have that access, especially if these companies are trying to charge them $80 or $60 an eighth or whatever they charge them for garbage.
A couple more comments came in from a Facebook user watching. They said approximately 70% of True Leaf's Holyoke manufacture facility has been laid off this year. I don't know if that's true, but I know a number have, but it could be 70. Maybe this person has inside info. But I know a lot have. They have a huge facility, and I know for a fact that they are hurting over there in terms of no one's buying their product anymore. I'm going to read some more of the comments. It says preserving diversified small cannabis companies is best. It offers more stability and health of more than just the market, but also the workers and consumers. They're agreeing with us. So the Facebook user said Danny Carson, he's a great person. He's a whistleblower who's worked at a bunch of these facilities. He's actually been a guest on the show quite a bit. He was a friend of Lorna McMurray, the True Leaf worker who passed away. And Danny's working on a group right now in Massachusetts that I think everyone should check out. It's Mass Cannabis Union or Cannabis Workers. I got to look that up, actually. We're going to post that later. Actually, I think I have you know what? Let's put it up on the banner right now. Here it is. Mass Cannabis Workers Union. They just had a meeting this week. I was a part of it. It was great. We're talking to some guys right now about Maine medical cannabis, why it's really the best in the East Coast by far. I want to ask you guys, because we talked about quite a bit, and you guys just met tonight. Do you have any questions for each other, or do you have anything that you want to bring up that hasn't been discussed yet? We'll go with Grove Cannabis, Dalton first. It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Maybe Andrew has something that he could touch on until I think of something. But for now,
anytime I meet a caregiver I don't know personally, I always ask, because I find that depending what your area is, you have different maybe issues or struggles. Maybe what are some issues, or maybe some just common maybe things you run into maybe as a dilemma, as like maybe cost battling, or what is like an issue when you're running your business down? You said you're like in the Kittery area.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no real issues. The banks, I mean, are really hard to deal with. That'd probably be my biggest issue. I mean, I bank with Seaport Credit Union, and I'm going to be switching banks here soon, but they charge me.
Are you going to Evergreen by chance?
Yeah, that's where I'm
Okay.
switching to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's $100 every month out of my account, and then it's 1% of all sales. So I mean, last year we did $1.6 million in sales for the year. So I mean, it adds up. It's like $1,000 every month that comes out of my account, just to put this money somewhere, which is outrageous to me. You know, for like any other starting business, like they're not getting charged that crazy amount of money to keep their business afloat and food payroll, everything. So with the switch to Evergreen, I hope that'll be a lot better. I've heard a lot better rates from them. So that's been, definitely a battle just every month with them. And I know a lot of other people, they have compliance issues with the banks too, that my bookkeeper has to send over every month and deal with them, just different things that they need, or your bank account gets shut down. You can't use it. So that's definitely been a hurdle with just the banking to put the money somewhere. I mean, it's definitely not been a great time.
It's definitely been a definitely top concern I've heard from everyone, no matter where you live. That's definitely been a common. That's been my big thing. Definitely, as I kind of like as like the medical lobbyist, it's kind of important to see what are the big issues everyone is having. And sometimes I find, depending on where you live, it could vary from person to person slightly, even just in Maine. So that's why anytime I talk to someone in cannabis, that's not even in my state, you have to do it with an open mind, because Maine is different regionally when it comes to cannabis. So it's like I can't expect someone from Rhode Island per se, not to pick on Rhode Island, but Rhode Island per se, to understand maybe the same concepts as Maine's, like why we support small businesses. You know what I mean? So it's really an educational process for everyone, because at the end of the day, it's like these small farmers, dude, like literally, we're fighting the state house every freaking year. We could lose every battle. We could lose any of these battles. We could have lost. Could have completely, you might have not been able to even open. No, just like no cap. Like there's been
it's ridiculous. I know.
There's been so many times in the state house
too. So I mean, like let's say like someone now wants to start, a cannabis business in the state of Maine. Even Seaport Credit Union's like completely capped out on having a bank account for new people.
I was gonna
Really?
I was gonna say, if you were gonna ask me if someone was gonna open a cannabis business now in Maine, I was gonna recommend them not to do that.
Really?
Yeah. No, don't do it.
Yeah,
or farm something else. Get land and farm something else. If you're really into farming and farming's your thing, go farm something else, because it's not going to be worth your headache unless if you're just doing it for your personal use as a hobbyist.
Right.
Like I don't think it's worth diving in the headache, going through. Like it wasn't like it was in 2018.
Yeah, it's
like
too
it
late.
Just wasn't.
It's kind of too
You know
late.
what I mean? Like, and the one big thing, one thing too, you need is a certified scale. So even if you have the lowest tier caregiver card, just to like pick up weight and like distribute to patients, like you still have to get like a resale card, and then like a $500 scale. So
the scale we use is like $1,200 from Maine scale, and that's just for like the weigh out concentrates and stuff like that. So they're definitely not cheap.
Still better than Massachusetts, though.
Oh yeah,
it's
still possible.
But yeah, well, I want to add, Dalton, how many employees do you have right now?
So I have 4 employees right now that are pretty much full time. With being the winter, I'm sure like summer, we'll take on a few more people. I'm also trying to get up more into like the Buxton area to kind of supply like more like middle of Maine, like Portland area, Biddeford, Scarborough, all those areas. So we'll definitely be growing even more with that. But definitely trying to get up into that more northern Maine area and just get to everybody that we possibly can. And just, spread the Grove cannabis around. So
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Grove Cannabis. Tell us what your website is. Grove Cannabis Co.
Our website's actually down right now.
Oh, it is.
They're working on it, but it's www.grovecannabisco.com.
And they could also look you up on Weed Maps. Your Weed Maps.
Yeah,
is
Weed
up, right?
Maps. We have a very big presence on Weed Maps. We were best of Weed Maps in Berwick and Elliott, Maine. So you could look up best of Weed Maps or Grove Cannabis Co. in that southern Maine area, and we would pop right up. So.
And again, if you have a Mass card, New Hampshire card, or Rhode Island, all those states apply.
Pretty much any, if you have a medical card, come and see Grove Cannabis Co. and we'll take care of you.
So you can go up to Maine and you can get the best service, the best cannabis right from this guy and his delivery service, Grove Cannabis up in Maine. Thank you so much, Dalton. Derek, how can people find out more about you? I know you're on Twitter. You're also on Instagram. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah. You can just follow me on Instagram. I'm Getting High with Cats. My Twitter is Maine Consumers, and it's a beautiful old woman, and that's me.
Awesome. And I follow you on Twitter. You post a lot of good information about what's happening in Maine, and kind of, I think there's a lot of good info that goes up on Twitter, and you're one of those folks. So I thank you so much.
Thank you. No, that's one reason why I jumped on Twitter, because I saw a lot of you guys were on here, like doing great stuff on Twitter, and I felt like I was missing out, and all the MSOs blocked me on Instagram. So I had to get them on. I had to jump on the other way.
Let me ask you on Twitter, have you been blocked by Kim from True Leaf yet?
No. I don't even mess with True Leaf yet, because they're not even in Maine. I don't even mess with them yet. I only make fun of Wiz Khalifa and True Leaf because Wiz is from Pittsburgh. He broke my heart when he broke my heart when he did that to me.
I think he was throwing subliminals at us, the young jerks, because we all went after him when he did that, and he really was crying about like the negative feedback. And also I have been blocked by Kim, by the way, but that was even before Lorna passed away. Like not before she passed away, before we found out she passed away. But another one, Burner, have you been blocked by him?
Oh no, I don't think, dude. I put a lot of Cookie Monsters memes, and I haven't been blocked. He's been a good sport about it.
See, True Leaf hasn't blocked me. The True Leaf account hasn't blocked me, which I find is a miracle.
What's wrong with Burner?
Burner blocked me. I don't know. I was making fun of him. He did some stupid shit too, and we were making fun of him, and he got really, I guess he got mad at me. He blocked me.
Huh.
I'm a troublemaker on Twitter. We're trouble.
Yeah.
What did he do? I can't even remember. Do you know what he did, Derek? He did something.
Which time?
Yeah, exactly.
The big one recently was when he blew up on the blacklist. He posted that the blacklist X, Y, and Z, this is who he basically outed who the blacklist was. And it was a big deal for a little bit. I mean, I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
I don't even know what the blacklist is. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, this was on Instagram.
Yeah.
Instagram's a whole other world.
The blacklist was one of those people exposing bad cannabis brands and stuff like that.
Yeah, but they got, and then Burner did this huge post on them, saying,
so he basically exposed a journalist or
low key, but then he took it back, and then it was super funny. It was the most awkward thing to see millionaires scramble.
He's done a lot of weird things. Let's put it that way. And he blocked me.
Even his company.
Come on.
He blocked Mike.
Yeah, if you block me, you're kind of weak. I'm sorry, Kim Rivers.
For sure.
Yeah, at this
Cureleaf does not like my Instagram page, cureleaf.russia. They do not like that page.
See, Cureleaf hasn't blocked me yet. Cureleaf and even True Leaf hasn't blocked me. It's just the executives, the Kim Rivers and the Burner. Those are the only two big ones that blocked me. Block the young jerks on Twitter.
Yeah.
But that's me. I mean, that's basically me. I want to thank you guys for coming on tonight. We got a Facebook user who wrote, good to see you, Derek Shirley. Danny has commented, it's Mass Cannabis Workers Union. Please check out that Facebook group if you're in Massachusetts and you want to change things, you want to make things better, especially if you're a worker. But if you're a cannabis consumer too, there's a lot of good people in that group. And they're working on some things. We just had a meeting this week with them, and I'm really excited about Danny and what they're doing. I want to thank you both for coming tonight, coming on the show, Super Bowl Sunday. I don't even know what the score is. I don't even care. I had great conversation with you guys. The double D, not double. Yeah, it is double Ds. I got Derek
It is
and I got
double Ds.
Dalton.
Yeah.
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 How cool is that? You know,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
great.
it's like, who cares about Super Bowl Sunday? I thank you guys for
I
coming
don't,
on tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting you, Derek.
You too.
We're the Young Jerks. That was a great episode. I want to thank both Dalton for coming on from Grove Cannabis and Derek as well. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Mike Crawford checking out.